勉強会に参加してみろって言ってたよ。
何ですか？やっぱ有罪。
Now, join my religion. Alright, look. Harem anime, not quite my cup of tea. Not anymore at least, since every new one seems to focus more and more on fanservice while everything else is left behind. And when I thought my fate in the harem genre was forever lost, out of nowhere, the Quintessential Quintuplets came and reinstated it. And it's my fucking cup of tea now. The anime revolves around these wealthy quintuplets, who all have failing grades in school, and a rather poor boy named Uesugi Futaro, who is given the opportunity to pay off his family debt by tutoring these girls. However, these quintuplets absolutely don't want to study at all, nor do they want Uesugi in their home. They endlessly trick him and literally run away from Uesugi to avoid studying, which makes his job so much harder. But nevertheless, he is determined to do his job as a tutor whether the quintuplets want him to or not. Which is understandable because he's getting paid a ridiculous amount of money he desperately needs. Introducing Itsuki, the gluttony, Nino, the tsundere, Ichika, ara one-san, Yotsuba, the positivity, and Miku, the best girl. Don't fight me, you're going to lose, because Miku's love, Miku's life. Are you listening to me? Go ahead and make an appreciation thread on Reddit already. Yeah, Miku's alright. The story has a well-defined goal: the quintuplets must graduate. If they will or not isn't that important, because that objective is something that they have to work towards and is designed to generate organic conflict between the characters. I cannot say I like many harem protagonists, but Uesugi is one of the exceptions. Besides the fact that he is a fleshed out character who is neither a single-minded horn dog nor a blunt self-insert, he has his own problems outside the harem scenario, and he even seems disinterested in the prospect of teenage romance. But what does it for me is how empathetic he is. He's pretty much forced to achieve perfect grades and to work to pay his family debt. Which is kind of sad when you give it some thought, because he cannot put himself on the first place no matter what. His only dream is to offer his younger sister a better life, to be able to satisfy and fulfill her wishes. And the motivation he has is admirable. He works his ass off to keep his job as a tutor, he spends any free time that he gets studying to maintain his top grades. All of that just to offer his younger sister a future. That's praiseworthy. Uesugi is so poor that he never felt the comfort of a bed in his entire life. He does everything in his power to cut costs whenever possible, and he's so excessive that he never has his belly full. But, well, thanks to the quintuplets, and by quintuplets I mean mainly Miku, he goes from a growling stomach to a painfully filled stomach. Each of the quintuplets stands apart from one another, maybe not entirely by looks, but definitely by personalities and by their clear and very distinct motivations and values. Itsuki is the serious type, disciplined and determined, with a habit of eating a lot, who would hold a grudge on someone for ages, but she hates to feel like a burden. Ara Ichika is a laid-back, frisky girl with a teasing habit who sleeps way too much but works hard to achieve her ambitions. Nino is a manipulative tsundere with a strong sense of fashion and a weakness for tougher boys, but she cares deeply for her sisters and always tries to put them on the first place. Yotsuba is a cheerful, athletic girl awash with positivity who's sometimes absent-minded but has a habit of self-sacrificing for the sake of others. And Miku is perfect. But if you want some background, she's quiet and self-conscious with a secret passion for Japanese history, the warlords in particular, but she's honest, hardworking, and she would go as far as to compromise her own interest to make sure everyone is treated equally. She's doing her best, okay? You know that usually in a harem anime, the male protagonist almost, if not always, ends up with the first girl he met. So in this case, there's a chance that Uesugi will end up with Itsuki since she's the first girl, but there's also a strong chance that it's Miku. Uesugi is the first person to appreciate Miku's love for Japanese history, even going as far as studying tens of books just to be on par with Miku. and earned this respect which shortly became mutual, and because of that they have a rather strong bond. However, Nino may also be a possible candidate because that's how a tsundere works. Showing hate at first, then when the guy appreciates how hardworking she is, she'll show kindness in the end. Though Ichika has the best chemistry, and she's also the only one Uesugi is the most comfortable with. He can be himself and talk naturally around her. And there's also Yotsuba, but yeah, I don't know about that. Anyway, because of that ambiguousness, I actually can't tell who's going to end up with him. And this might sound silly, but it's so thrilling not to know the choice in a harem. That's how harem anime should be, without an obvious fucking choice, where everyone has a real, and most importantly, believable chance. And unlike most harem shows, Quintessential Quintuplets doesn't have much fanservice, and by much I mean maybe one titty shot every 2 or 3 episodes. It has other ways to show sex appeal, which is quite smart actually, because it feels so much natural than a random penny shot. Like this scene where Uesugi is chasing Miku. She's running away to avoid studying, don't get the wrong idea. And they get sweaty, so Miku removes her stockings because of the heat, which makes for a subtle scene with a huge impact on delivery, especially when the animation had a particularly higher quality. Now, since it's a harem, I suppose you'd expect some physical variety between the girls. You'd normally have that in a harem, but you don't exactly have that here. I mean, they're quintuplets, so that's the point, which doesn't really matter because you have Miku and Miku's love. You know what's interesting? One of the sisters, I'm not going to say who for the sake of no spoilers, has obvious feelings for Uesugi, and some of the other sisters seem to be totally aware of that, even encouraging her to make a move on him. Jesus, not naming them makes this so weird. While you have another sister intentionally trying to get him fired or to give up. So the point is, there isn't a contest between the quintuplets. They don't fight each other or fight for the guy's attention, which makes this so organic. They don't just fall for him, I mean they will eventually since it's a harem and that's the point of it, but how they will and when they will makes this so intriguing. Because there is some level of consideration between them, something like I kind of fancy him too, but not as much as you and you're my sister, so have it your way. And this is particularly interesting because if we can believe what is shown in the beginning of the first episode, then Uesugi will end up marrying one of the quintuplets. What's that? A harem where the guy makes a choice? I know, right? Mind-blowing. Now, I hope it's Miku, cause if it's not Miku, then the humor is just my cup of tea. It comes from the dynamic of the characters and it has a bit of everything. Slapstick, ironic, situational, juvenile, deadpan, all delivered with an amazing performance, which is to be expected since the voice actors are all S-class veterans. The quality of the dialogue delivery is as high as it can get, which can also be said to a certain extent about the production value. The show stands pretty high even in the later episodes, which is a surprise, but a welcomed one. Now don't expect this to last for more than 6 or so episodes, because even though Tezuka Productions is trying their best, there are some minor quality fluctuations every now and then, which will only become more apparent as the anime progresses. But regardless, you'll probably be too invested into the anime to be bothered by them later on. Now let's answer the question of who do you think is the best girl and why is it Miku? Thanks for watching.